Hi, my name is Jasmine, and in today's video I was intending to go through and explain how to do research, kind of help people learn exactly how they can use Google to do their own research and find information, because a lot of people seem to be struggling with this, so I figured it'd be a fun thing to do. And I chose the topic of climate change, and in doing so I came across something fascinating. U.S. Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works refuting 12 claims made by climate alarmists. Found on senate.gov. I will have a link to this and every other source I use in this video down below. Yeah, and it will be directly copied from my search bar to there. So no funny business, just the exact sources I am using. As well as I'll have them on screen, so you can make sure that I'm citing the correct sources, and you can go through and find them and look at them as you wish. But anyway, so this is fascinating, because when I was taught how to do research, .gov was kind of sort of sacred. It's like, you can trust this. You assume that a .gov website is like, yeah, no, you can trust that. So finding something like this is fascinating, and I think it's a really cool opportunity to go through and okay, so here's things that are commonly claimed, and here's why they're wrong. And also, I get to bash the government a little bit. And I can't turn that down because fuck the governments. I say as somebody who works for the government. So anyway, let me get some things squared away with this, and we can get started, shall we? Okay, so here's our awesome sheet of paper. It's actually 2 pages. Here you can go through, and if you want to pause and read it, I'll be going back to this a lot. So anyway, here is our entire everything we're going over. I know I might seem a little bit too excited about this, but this is so much fun. So, alarmist claim number 1, Antarctic Peninsula is shrinking. Fact, 2008 peer-reviewed paper in American Geophysical Union found a doubling of snow accumulation in the western Antarctic Peninsula since 1850. Okay. So the claim I usually hear is that all ice is shrinking, but sure, we'll shrink it down to that one location. So I went through this kind of one by one, so we'll go up to this other link. And we have, this one is from climate.gov, so the .gov website. Despite Antarctic gains, global sea ice is shrinking. So let me get this straight. So, global levels going down, single spot increasing. And this person claimed that people only talk about one. Fascinating. But now if we go down here, we look at, monthly deviations in sea ice extent. Look at the Arctic, it's going down. Look at Antarctic, it goes up slightly, okay? And I feel like you need to pay attention to how much it's changing, because it started at 1 and it went down to around -1. That's a factor of 2. This one went from, let's say, -0.5 to an increase of around +0.5, and that's vague and not very, maybe kind of pushing it a bit. And if we look at combined, oh, it went down. So yeah, that's not a good look for the U.S. government. Okay, alarmist claim number 2, glaciers are melting throughout the world. A UN report in 2010 reported that glaciers are increasing despite climate change. Glaciers in many areas of the world are increasing. Okay, that is from a UN report. Just a UN report. Okay, this is the other thing that pisses me off to no end. So we have all these, from this. But if you go down, normally you'd find a list. I'd expect to find a list of sources, a list of, here's number 1, and then here's all associated sources. But there is none. There is what Americans care about, some recent news articles, supposedly, again, not citing a source. Okay. If I was, per se, a teacher's assistant, and a student submitted a paper like this, I would throw it at them. After using it to wrap a brick. This is atrocious. Honestly, it looks not bad, but it is atrocious. No, just, Anyway, of course, I can't grade on that. Let's actually look at what the current information says. So let's look at one from the BBC. So across the pond. Okay. Let's see. World's glaciers melting faster than ever recorded. The world's glaciers are melting faster than ever recorded due to the impact of climate change according to the most comprehensive scientific analysis to date. Mountain glaciers, frozen rivers of ice act as freshwater resources for millions of people worldwide and lock up enough water to raise global sea levels by 13 inches, if they melt that entirely. But since the turn of the century, they have lost more than 65 billion tons, or 5% of their ice. Oh. So wait, they've lost 5%. 5% is gone. How are they increasing? Because if I have this is a can, but if this was full up and it goes down by 5%, that's not an increase. That's not how math works. None of these, I'm kind of thirsty. Okay. So let's look at this actual study, though. If I remember correctly, they did the annoying fucking thing of not actually citing their source, I don't think. Although I could be wrong. I didn't actually give this a real hard look through just because I'm a lazy fuck, and there's 12 of these to go through. That's the other fun part about this. If you ever heard of the concept of flim-flam, simply that's what they call it, it's saying, throwing out a bunch of claims. Why am I getting so many fucking notifications? Fuck off. Anyway, we'll say throw out, a bunch of things, so by the time we've disproven one, they've already said, 11 more. So, yeah, anyway. Where was I? Okay. The study combined more than 230 regional estimates from 35 research teams around the world, making scientists even more confident about exactly how fast it's happening. Issues of climate change. Yep. Oh. Okay. Not loving it, but okay. Oh, never mind. They did actually cite it. I personally prefer it being big and obvious, but hey, they cited it. So, yeah. Let's see, so we're 2 for climate change, 0 for denial. Okay. The IPCC stated the Himalayan glaciers would melt by 2035. In fact, the IPCC got that unsubstantiated and false statistic from a World Wildlife Foundation brochure in January 2010. Time magazine, an article, Himalayan melting, the climate panel got it wrong. Oh, holy shit. That's impressive. They actually cited something. Okay, for the IPCC and climate science community as a whole. I'm not going to say I particularly trust Time magazine for scientific data, but whatever. So let's look at up-to-date information. Okay. Glaciers melt, a water crisis looms in South Asia. So this isn't even focusing on the glaciers, it's focusing on the fact of, hey, when this happens, it'll cause other issues. Yeah, this is from 2022. Let's see, I'm trying to remember let's go back to where I was. Let's see, where's the thing for which I am searching? Because they were actually incorrect. It is somewhere in here. Right. Correspondingly, meltwater is expected to increase until around 2050s and then begin to decline. Okay, so it will decline around the 2050s, implying that it is going to last longer than was claimed. So, yes, the timeline they gave was incorrect. There's a lot of things that are incorrect in here that with more up-to-date information can be disproven and whatnot. It's still a problem. If the bad thing's not going to happen for 10 years as opposed to 5, it's still a problem. Which happens you have a bit more time to react. So, yeah. Okay, alarmist claim number 4. Polar bears are disappearing. Director of Wildlife Research with the Arctic government of... I cannot pronounce that, so here's a moment to read that if you wish. Of 13 populations of polar bears in Canada, 11 are stable or increasing in number. They are not going extinct or even appear to be affected at present. 50s and 60s, there were between 5,000 and 10,000 polar bears. Today, there are between 15 and 25,000. That's a pretty wide variance. Anyway, let's go over here. This is a fun source to read. Feel free to go through it if you want. Again, they should all be linked in the description. That's where I'm looking for, description. I think it's currently around 16,000. So if the number's around 16,000, they definitely were 25,000. If they were, they've gone down. But basically, it's a good example of conservation being successful. I love how often climate deniers will say, oh, well, this thing didn't happen. It's like, yes, because significant and costly, both this year, significant and expensive as fuck things were done to stop the very bad thing from happening. So, yeah, they've gone up slightly. They've stopped decreasing drastically. They're still being impacted by climate change. It just happens that we stopped killing them so much. Humans stopped doing additional shit to harm them. Now it's just climate change and maybe a few other factors. The intentional misunderstandings here are a genuine pet peeve of mine. Anyway, let's go on to the next one, shall we? And this one, I did use Wikipedia for a source. I will say, I personally think Wikipedia is useful in research because you can use it to then find sources, but they have an awesome graphic, and I'm using it. If you don't like it, make your own goddamn video. I'm sorry. Because just like this, I can't critique this unless I'm willing to do better, which is why I'm doing better. So, alarms come number 5. In 2013, President Obama claimed the climate is warming faster than anybody anticipated for 10 years. In fact, Nature reported for the period, the the trend of temperatures is not significantly different from zero and suggests a temporary hiatus in global warming. Notice how it's a temporary hiatus. Not stopping, not just going down. The Economist reported over the past 15 years, air temperature and observations have been flat. The Economist. Their name kind of says it all. They focus on the economy. If I want to know about climate change, I'm going to go to a climate scientist. I'm going to go to somebody, maybe an ecologist, somebody who studies the environment. I'm not going to go to a fucking economist. Just like if I want to know about the economy, I'm not going to go to a fucking wildlife biologist. I'm going to go to an economist who knows that shit. Anyway. So I'm getting a little bit amped up here. But anyway. So, global warming hiatus. A global warming hiatus, also referred to as a global warming pause or a global warming slowdown, period of relatively little change of average temperatures. This, in the current episode of global warming, many such 15-year periods appear on the surface temperature record, along with robust evidence of long-term warming trend. Such a hiatus is shorter than 30-year periods that climate change is classically arranged over. Oh yeah, here's another one. I'm deliberately cherry-picking appropriate time periods. Yeah, we'll just I'll just let this play. Just, you have eyes, you can look. Yeah. Not a good look. Just not a good look. Again, the great excuse to badmouth the fucking government. Or the U.S. Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works, from the office of Chairman Jim Inhofe. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. Well, I am petty. I'm not that petty and discredit somebody for having a weird sounding name, because that's just rude. Anyway, and I will actually do a little bit of looking into this guy too, just for fun. Anyway, see, so we got number 5, we're on to number 6. 2014 was the warmest year in modern record by 0.2 degrees. Only a 38% chance 2014 was the warmest year on record. Margin of error, which on average is 0.1 degrees Celsius, made impossible to conclude 2014 was the warmest year, according to the Berkeley Earth Surface Temperature Project stated. Okay. Period. Guys. Periods, please. For the love of God. Well, actually, I know exactly why, because they directly quoted something, I'm assuming. Anyway, let's see, I believe nope, that was when we were just on. 8 warmest years on record. So I didn't really like this source because they didn't just give me a flat fucking list. But this is a lovely mean temperature graph. You don't need to be a scientist to see the very obvious thing happening here. Anyway, so if I remember correctly, right, so the telltale signs and impacts of climate change are becoming more dramatic. The rate of sea level rise has doubled since 1993. It has risen by nearly 10 millimeters since January 2020 to a new record high this year. The past 2.5 years alone account for 10% of overall rise in sea level since satellite measurements started nearly 30 years ago. An exceptionally heavy toll on glaciers in the European Alps, with initial indications of record-shattering melt. Further disproving everything that's been claimed so far. The Greenland ice sheet lost mass for the 26th consecutive year, and it rained rather than snowed there for the first time in September. Again, every claim made by these fuckers is proving to be inaccurate, and I know this is not professional of me, but quite frankly, this is YouTube. Fuck professionalism and fuck this shit. I'm all for scientific rigor, and there are some things that that is pointed out here that are like, if these things did actually happen, yes, that is incorrect, that is bad science, and that should be reprimanded. But use it as a way to discredit all of climate research is not the solution, guys. Fucking Christ. Anyway, let's see. Right. Oh yeah, warming continues. Above the baseline, this compares with yada yada yada. He was at record levels in 2021. Yes, you're right. 2014 was not the warmest year on record because we had more years, and more recent years since then have been higher. So, kind of a moot point, really. Let's continue on, shall we? All right. Alarmist claim number 7. In 2000, Democrats started saying that the science is settled. Let's see. Nope. Did I actually get a source for that? Let's see. This one is tornado. So, no, I didn't actually grab a source for this. But anyway, this is a different pet peeve of mine. So, no, the science is not settled. The science will never be settled on anything because we're always finding new and more accurate and up-to-date information. Because that's what we do. That is what scientists do. That's our thing. We go, let's ask a question. Let's continue to ask a question and keep searching and trying to find new and more accurate information. So no, it will not officially be settled. In fact, I started getting phone calls from scientists disagreeing, so I made a speech on the floor showing how many scientists disagreed. If you made a speech about it, logically you would have numbers. You would say, I had X number of scientists. Or you could even say what these scientists did. Because, again, if a fucking fisheries biologist says, yes, I disagree with climate change, am I going to listen to them, or am I going to listen to a dozen fucking climate scientists? Probably the climate scientists. If a random scientist says something, that does not mean it is true. If I, somebody who studies wildlife biology and ecology, disagree with a nuclear physicist on how a nuclear reactor should be run, I am wrong. That's, under most circumstances, you would assume that I am incorrect, that I am speaking out of my ass, that I am false in the statements I am saying. Because they are an expert. They are researchers. They know what they're doing. I don't. And the opposite is true. If a fucking nuclear physicist disagrees with me on what's happening in a fucking area that I'm studying, and an ecosystem that I'm studying, we're going to assume that they're wrong. Because I'm studying it. They aren't. That is how expertise works. You do not need an 8th grade education to understand this shit, okay? It is so incredibly stupid, and well, it is basic logic. You listen to the people who have expertise in this and know what the fuck they're talking about. And the ones who have actual expertise. Sorry I'm getting a little bit enthusiastic, but this is my field. Of course I'm going to be enthusiastic. I have decided I'm going to dedicate my life to shit like this, to studying science and studying shit and the environment and the environment and ecosystems. So yes, I'm going to be vocal. Additionally, I'm Italian. We talk with our hands. You know how you make an Italian shut up? You handcuff them. Anyway. Okay. So, alarmist claim number 8, global warming is causing more tornadoes. A NOAA scientist rejected global warming to tornadoes, stating no specific consensus or connection between global warming and tornadic activity. Just a NOAA scientist. Okay, at least they might actually have a bit of experience in the field. Let's take a look at this one. Okay. Yes. U.S. is experiencing more tornado outbreaks despite fewer tornado days overall. So let's get this straight. So, number of days where we have tornadoes, fewer. Days with tornadoes, more tornadoes. So I guess, yeah, that is correct. A politician fucking lied, or said false or inaccurate information, and, our tornadoes are staying relatively the same. Are they getting worse? I didn't see any information saying so we'll assume they are. Okay, so a politician lied. So here's a fun fact, something I learned in a class I took on, what the fuck was that class again? I believe that would have been, it was like a management class. I don't know what the fuck it was actually called. Anyway, the professor explained to us something very important. You see, when you, if you are working for a politician, or a politician calls you and says, hey, I want to know about this thing, you can give them all the information. They can just ignore it. And this pisses me off. But you can say, hey, the earth is round. something very simple and logical. The Earth is round. And they can still get up on a podium and say, the Earth is flat. So, whoop-de-doo-dah. Fuck politicians. They're all incompetent. There are words I'd rather use for that. However, I would probably get kicked out of university if I use those words publicly for these politicians. Yeah. I'm gonna be a good girl and behave myself in this one little regard. Okay. Alarmist claim number 9. Global warming is causing hurricanes to increase in intensity and frequency. Okay, so both these boil down to just the weather's getting worse, which is true. If you like, I can make an entire video on, for example, what happened in Iowa, where a windstorm laid down so much corn you could see it from space. I remember that shit. Anyway, it's causing hurricanes to increase in intensity and frequency. So I actually got 2 sources for this one. Let's see. That was trying outbreaks. Cyclonic energy. Okay. So this is interesting. So we have 1851 to 2022. They seem like, I mean, it doesn't seem that much of a change. Let's look at a table. Overall change. Relative change increased by 158%. So increased by a factor of 1.5. I think it went up. I think it's getting worse. But hey, there's another one that I found that is also fucking cool to look at. So it fluctuates. Let's see which one was it? That one. There was one that had a really good fucking no. Wait, no, I think it was that one. Yes, you notice something though. It's not a straight line. It is. There's fluctuations. Fluctuations. Yeah, that's proper English. So look at this. So the atmosphere is warm, they're more active. Atmosphere is cold, they're less active. Atmosphere warm, more active. Atmosphere cold, less active. Atmosphere warm, more active. Oh. It's follow the exact things that we were predicting, but saying, hey, that would be predicted by a climate change model that shows an increase in temperature is happening. And trend line, an increase by a factor of 1.3. Very similar to the 1.5 we just saw. So this is a random fun fact, but did you know that you can actually predict when somebody will die based off of their heart rate? Because the average heart only lasts for a certain amount of time before it just gives out. Shit like this is decreasing my life expectancy because my heart rate is currently 100 beats per minute. That is 40 beats per minute over my average. Anyway, let's continue on. Global warming is called, right, okay. Claim number 10, global warming is leading to an increased number of droughts. See fifth assessment report, previous conclusions regarding global increased trend in drought since the 1970s were probably overstated. So if I say this river went up, doubled in depth, and actually went up by a factor of 1.5, yes, I was incorrect. However, it still went up. The core of what I stated was still true. So it was overestimated. Okay, yes, it's still happening. So let's continue on, shall we? Global warming is causing sea levels to rise at a rapid pace. The Journal of Geophysical Research found there is no statistically significant acceleration in sea level rise over the past 100 plus years. Didn't we just read a source that said that there was like a 10% increase over the past 5? It's probably nothing. Okay, and final one. Okay. So, alarmist claim number 12. 97% of scientists agree global warming is man-made. Yeah, let's say actually probably closer to 99% of the scientists I'm around, because most of them are continually doing more research and like have to write papers and shit, so they're getting into the data on shit. Okay, Wall Street Journal found 97% consensus to be predicted on a handful of surveys and abstract counting exercises that have been contradicted by more reliable research. Then cite the research and say, hey, yeah, and here's a statistic that says it's more accurate. So also it says on handful of surveys and abstract counting exercises. That sounds bad. That sounds really bad. That sounds like they're just like, oh yeah, we're just going to ask a few of them and call it a day. If you've never taken the statistics class, that makes sense. So I normally don't use AI, but honestly for shit like this, AI is actually kind of helpful and useful. So, how was a survey taken? Here's a more detailed breakdown. Define the population sample. Population. This is the entire group of people you're interested in studying. So that would be scientists. Sample. This is a smaller representative subset of the population that you'll actually survey. And let's see, what did they claim they did? They claimed that they did surveys and counting exercises. So they observed the population, they took a subset, and they sampled it. Just like if I want to know the contents of nutrients in a river, I take some of that, take a portion of that river out, I take a sample of it, and then I test it. I don't test the entire motherfucking river. Just like you don't ask every single scientist these questions, because we do not have the time to answer all these stupid questions. We don't. All of this is predicated on people not knowing. And you know what? That's a problem. Because you, random person watching this, the like one person that's going to watch this, you don't need to know this shit. You shouldn't be expecting to know this shit. You have a life, shit that you do. Just like I, a biologist who studies, ecosystems. Yeah, I know about ecosystems. I don't know shit about physics. Genuinely. I don't know shit about physics. I took a physics 1 course once. Bad idea. I failed. I'm not good at physics. It's not my thing. Everybody has things they're good at and things they aren't. You should not be expected to know everything. But this shit predicates and assumes that because uses that fact that you have a life and shit that you need to do to then lie to you. They give you falsehoods. And this pisses me off. Because you, the person who watches, you are a human being, you are intelligent, and you can think for yourself. Given the full range of information, you can come to your own conclusions. But instead, they give you cherry-picked information to lie to you. The fact that your government, I'm assuming you're American, you might not be, but many governments are doing this too, is intentionally lying to you is fucking bullshit. Anyway, let's go on to the rest of this a little bit where I expected to see list of actual sources. Okay, Americans' level of concern about national problems. Do they have a source? I guess. So let's see. The availability and affordability of healthcare. No, actually, we're going to zoom in a little bit on this. Probably should have zoomed in the entire time, but oh well, I'm stupid. Availability and affordability of healthcare. 54% care, economy, 53% care, possibility of future terrorist attacks in the U.S. This is also from 2014, so this is a bit, or 2015, sorry. Social security system, yeah, this makes sense. Climate change, 25%. You know what? Actually, so this is... Yes, I typed weird. Okay. A majority of Americans are concerned about global warming or climate change according to Gallup News. Now, that is not a false thing for him to state. Things have changed. Him, because I assume this was basically, well, it was published under his name, so, that guy. So, yeah, again, that's changed. And again, this goes back to the whole thing of science. That data did not lie, I'm assuming. There's just new, more accurate information. Okay. Ricketts worry about environmental problems. Let's look at this one. Okay, pollution and drinking water. Yeah, of course I'm going to care about fucking drinking water. This is why I care about climate change. Because I live in the climate. I don't want it to get worse. I don't want you to go extinct. And honestly, if you want me to do a rant about extinctions, please say so in the comments. I need one comment and I will do it. This entire video originated from a fucking TikTok comment. But if you make one comment about it, I promise I'll do an entire rant about birds going extinct, specifically grassland birds. Anyway, okay, so pollution of rivers, lakes, and reservoirs. Great deal. Okay. I noticed that it went down. Air pollution, animal species. Well, even if it went down for that 1 year, it's still gone up. Global warming and/or climate change. Yep, cool. ClimateGate. IPCC scientists changed numbers to get the results they wanted. I just completed Mike's nature trick of adding the real temps to each series the past 20 years, i.e. from it to hide the decline. I don't even know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. I'm just confused, to be honest. If you have an actual interpretation of, I can't highlight, but of, oh, there we go. My headphones just turned off. How fascinating. Anyway, if you have an actual interpretation of this, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm very curious. Anyway, University Corporation for Atmospheric Research in 2009. The fact is, we can't account for lack of warming at the moment, and that's a travesty. It's a travesty that we can't. This was made in 15, 16, that range. It was 5-ish years ago, 5, 6, something like that, from when this was written. Why wouldn't you use something from that year? From, 2014, 2015, like you did here? Seems like you're cherry picking again. Also, one guy said it. Okay, cool. And I'm a fucking environmental biologist, or wildlife biologist, technically both. I say it's true, so I guess that counteracts all of what that guy said. Cool, I guess. Hot off the press, Christopher Booker, UK Telegraph. Don't trust UK Telegraph. Actually, I don't trust most of these. Clive Crook of Financial Times. What the? Okay, worst scientific scandal of our generation. It's not a scandal, just people are significantly misunderstanding it. Clive Crook. Okay, your name is Crook. I don't trust you immediately. That is a joke. Financial Times. The closed-mindedness of the supposed men of science is surprising even to me. The stink of intellectual corruption is overpowering. The stink of blatantly lying to your constituents from this paper is bad. A prominent IPCC physicist. What did I just say about nuclear physicists trying to correct somebody about something they don't understand? They did the thing. I actually didn't even realize that until now, because I was playing that example. They did the thing. The thing I just said. They did it. I predicted it without even intending to. And while I do want to complain about the fact they did not cite the person, I'm also not citing some of the people I talk about because I'm not going to dox people, so whatever. UN scientist Dr. Philip Lloyd says the result is not scientific. Okay. Newsweek. I do not fucking trust Newsweek for climate news, or most news actually. Once celebrated climate researchers feeling like used car salesmen. Some of IPCC's most quoted data recommendations were taken straight out of unchecked activist brochures. Sure, buddy. Sure. From somebody from The Guardian, it's no use pretending there isn't this isn't a major blow. The emails extracted by a hacker from the climate unit at the University of East Anglia. Okay, haven't heard about that before. Could scarcely be more damaging. So if there was this massive example, you'd think they'd mention the fraud, but no, guess not. Guess it's not a thing, not that big of a deal to mention the very obvious fraud. Almost like there's something that we're missing here. I'm not going to do more research on this because I am fucking tired, and this video is at over 30 minutes. This block of the video alone is 30 minutes, and there's also the intro. And the source has proved itself to be unreliable to begin with. So I'm going to make an assumption here. I'm going to make an ass out of you and me and assume that this is also bullshit. So what is this really about? Kaito represents the first component of authentic global governance. Okay. This is what pisses me off. We're going on another fucking rant. This is what pisses me off. Because you know how quickly this shit goes from, oh, we don't believe in climate change, to, oh, we're the fucking global elite are trying to control everything, which usually just goes back to blaming the Jews. Just to clarify, no, I'm not anti-Semitic. No, I do not think the Jews, that Jewish people secretly control the government, or the world, or whatever, or there's a global cabal, or some shit. And this is why this shit pisses me off, because I don't believe in that shit. Kaito, I'm not sure what the fuck Kaito is about the economy, about leveling the playing field for big business worldwide. Former EU minister, okay, whatever. Once dismissed, the UN's Kaito Protocol is a socialist scheme. I would really like to have the guy that's on this define socialism for me. No, fuck it. We're going to do more research here because I'm very curious. KYOTO. KYOTO protocol. I probably misspelled that. Search. Okay, was an international treaty adopted in Kyoto, Japan, aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions to combat climate change. So international cooperation is now a globalist plot? Okay. Whatever. Countries can cooperate on things. That's a thing they can do. Yeah. Countries can work together. That's not, a globalist agenda make y'all fucking slaves or whatever. I could talk about this for many hours more, but we're well over reasonable runtime. I probably lost everybody watching this, so I hope you, the one person that actually clicked on this video, and actually watched to the end, I hope you found this interesting. If you want me to talk more, say so. I am more than happy to. But for the sake of my poor head and me not knocking more shit off my desk, I'm going to stop it here. Yeah. This was interesting. Thanks for sticking around. I'm going to stop recording now and... Why is my mouse up there? There we go. I'm going to stop recording now and I'm going to lay down for a bit. Because this was some bullshit. I don't like... I'll be honest, I'm kind of lazy when it comes to research. I don't like having to do it. I like writing, as much as I enjoy writing papers up for writing on shit that I'm very knowledgeable on, not having to do research for it. But here, I did the research. I did the Googling. I did the finding of the shit. Here it is. After all, every single one of these searches will be found in the description, including the recently made ones. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to include like the Kyoto Protocol. I think it's Kyoto. I'm not sure how the fuck to pronounce that. You can just type this into Google. It's right here. As for this, again, you can just type it into Google. There's no, specific location. I got it. It's right there. So, yeah. But aside from these three, the rest of this will all be found down below, including the original this thing. They'll all be there. Because I'm not trying to lie to you. I'm trying to condense information down so people who, for laymen, who have other things they care about, who are experts in other fields, who may know, for example, know how to work with their hands. Build shit. I don't fucking know what you do. Actually, no. Do me a favor. Go in the comments to help support my video. Go in the comments. Tell me what it is you do for a living. Tell me what it is that you are knowledgeable on. Because it's very cool to see other people knowledgeable on. And I can leave it on a happy note. Anyway, all that will be down below. Go find information. I'm tired. Have a lovely day. Bye. So I can find my cursor again and stop recording.